very kind of like Muda inspired,
Mm.
kind of very good wrestler who you only saw in a serious mode, and
Great
then
trainer as well, like
oh really?
really excellent trainer, tough trainer. Like he's and but he knows what he's doing when he's trained. A lot of people have, they've picked up a lot from him if they've. Uh, One of the things with him, I think if you're lucky enough to be around him, pick his like get in the ring with him, and is he understands a lot about this and how to be a character but he's trained really hard. I mean, some of the he's he's gone through it wherever he's gone. In Japan, in Mexico. He knows what he's doing, and he's very, very good.
With the first skit that you did, and I just saw it recently. You can look it up. Um, you are just in full Commissioner Regal mode. You are
Mm.
reacting, overreacting to everything, and you can see, you can see you smiling a couple times. And I guess, you said give it a go. You must have had a lot of confidence. I don't know. Maybe you had a lot of confidence after this first segment. You're like, okay,
Yes,
this is going to happen.
absolutely.
This is
That was
this
it.
is this is
That
going to
was it.
work. Yeah.
Let's just go. No more thought put to it whatsoever. And that was how it went from then onwards. It was no more thought. We just, okay, you do this, yeah, and we did it, and that was how it went. Not the slightest. And so this is going to be a short episode because the stuff really is just there to watch, and it's a body of work that is something that one day I'll go back and watch all of it and go, oh yeah, that was entertaining. And that's what it was. And we became this thing that just worked, and it was wonderful. The And then there was, you please lead you lead the way
Yeah, for sure.
today.
Well, you had like 3 weeks of these skits where you're just, you've got this kind of look like you don't really know what's going on. You don't know how to
No,
react. You're just going with the flow. And then, you know, was there any kind of plan that you know of, or you're just taking it week by week?
I always wanted to be the last person that needed
Hmm.
to be any bother to anybody.
Right.
Again, coming from the people that I was taught by, just be a good pro, do your job. Uh, Different when you come to America and or now anywhere, I suppose you've got to find your way. I was just somebody who was quite happy doing whatever. What you need me to do? Okay, right, and do that. So there'll be other people who are on the writing team. There'll be people that know more, that will have far more about this than me. All I used to know was I turn up, and me and him just did our thing. I never asked anybody what we're doing this week because I was in a role, and there'd be people like Brian Gavert, and there'd be people like um, Ed Koski, and numerous other people. And I apologize if I'm not, because there was a revolving cast of characters involved in this that put us together. Um, and Bruce, if I remember rightly, Bruce was there. Paul Heyman was, you know, they all had their ideas, and put them there, and just what do you need? Okay, and that was it. We
And these,
we just say 3 o'clock, be in that room,
right.
or this is live, and you've got to get this across. And we just did it, and it was that simple. And hopefully, it wasn't too hard for them to put together. Because writers and creative people have an incredibly hard job, and wrestlers need to understand that it's it's really hard putting a show together, and just I, sometimes you've got to be a squeaky wheel and whatever else, but I wasn't, and it just no problem with what do you need? Yeah, and I had that built in. It was a incredible opportunity and character that I was given, the commissioner, where I got to just do all these wonderful things. and he just added to it and just made it better, and we just played off each other, and it was um, like we were a proper double act without having. And studied and read a lot about actual comedy double acts where they have to do a lot of hard work and rehearsals and sometimes falling outs and sometimes all kinds going on in their lives. And it goes for Laurel and Hardy and Abbott and Costello,
Right.
and in Britain, Morecambe and Wise, and it's just, there was nothing like that at all.
And
I will joke about the fact that I don't like him. We traveled together, and he used to drive me up the wall traveling with him, but we always got on, and um, it was that simple. I mean, it was just, what do you need? Yeah, and be whatever time. Yes, we'll be there. And right, and what do you need? Boom, and it was done. And it was that simple. The only thing that sometimes created a wasn't a problem, and I can't remember it ever being a problem, is if another person was put in there. And sometimes if I'd watch it back, or I, maybe we need to do this again, or somebody else would say that because they hadn't quite pulled off their bit, or something hadn't quite meshed between us. And that's not putting it on them. It was the meshing of either one of us with them, and not me and him. Me and him just were like as if we were we knew each other inside and out, which we didn't really. But it was, I've never had it that easy with anybody else where I could just go out and do stuff that. Well, actually, I have. I no, I'm saying that I have. I've had nothing but people like that. Yeah, no, because I had the exact same thing with Bobby Eaton. There was never, everything was just boom with Bobby Eaton.
but it's a lot.
Dave Taylor's been the same. No, Robbie Brookside the same. So yeah, I've been very fortunate when I look at partners that I've had in different forms. I've never had any trouble with any of them. And there's not much. So when I just said that was the easiest thing, no, they've all been easy for me. When I look back at it, how fortunate have I been to have that? But the Tajiri thing, it was, and Eugene was the same. It was just no problem, bang, and done, and that was that.
With these segments backstage, normally pre-tapes, and you said normally maybe produced by either Bruce or Paul Heyman,
Yeah,
written by Brian or Ed Koskey.
and I could have that wrong. They may,
Right.
yeah,
There's a
it was
lot of people
a
back
lot of
there.
people.
Right. But what? So, for instance, on this
Paul
first
was a
one,
huge fan. Sorry, Paul was a huge fan of Tajiri.
oh
So I
yeah,
know he
yeah.
was trying to put him into something, and so that's probably probably Paul's story to tell how he ended up getting him even put into this role. But I don't know. I've never asked. So I didn't. If I might have asked if we hadn't got on from the first take. Why have you put me? It might
Right,
have
right,
become more of a thing.
right. No need
I
to
didn't
ask if
need
it
to.
works.
No,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. I
yeah.
didn't. Never asked. I know that Paul was there. I know there was a time when we split up, and I wasn't so sure about it was time to split up, and it was over Tory Wilson. But Paul, it was definitely Paul's idea, and because he'd seen um, Snatch, and Alan Ford had played Bricktop in there, and the line of, "Do you know?" And if you've ever seen it, but do you know what Nemesis means? And Paul had seen the movie, and he loved the character, and I love the character. Fantastic performance by Alan Ford, um, and he wanted us to do something similar, which we did at one point, but then we ended up getting back together again later on. And you'll have to tell me the times and whatever else.
Well, I was curious about just, for instance, this first segment, this first thing you guys meet. There's the tea thing. You're
Yeah.
reacting. You're like, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And okay, this is what's going on. How much writing and directing took place? Like, did they block it for you and say, "Okay, Tajiri's going to walk here and then walk there," or they said, "Here's the point you're trying to get across. Go."
Is the point it's trying to get across and go,
Wow.
as far
Eh,
as I know. Now, don't forget, that's my part of it. There's all the
right.
crew and the camera crew and the sound crew that have got to do all the work before I get there. So it's not easy for them. They're the ones who've got to set everything up, and the people who've written the segment, um, and all. And again, I had such trust with them that but they've still got to write it because you're writing the format of a TV show. So they've had to sit down and think of these segments and put them on paper for me to just come in and just go, okay, and
And
and bang.
do you get direction on, like,
Sometimes, yeah, you get
how to,
direction.
like
Yeah.
meaning, do you get direction on how to, what your attitude should be? Like, do they say you're
Yes.
surprised or you're shocked or you're
Yeah.
angry or
Yeah.
that kind of thing?
Yeah. You get direction just like you would in any other, and that's very few people can all the time self-direct. So,
Oh, for sure, for sure.
it's like, yeah, but usually it was just whatever had gone into that. We used to turn up, and then we would get told we want this, and we'd do it. And without me and him doing it, not that I can ever remember me and him having to have any kind of, well, you do this, I do none of that. Just this is it. Make sure he understood what we were doing. Right.
That's amazing stuff.
Cut the
And
you just start rolling the cameras and let's go. And
there's
sometimes we do a couple, if we do a couple to get them right, or and some there's a lot of things. Sometimes you can go. There's a lot of there's sound issues. There's always sound issues when you're doing that. Somebody talks in the background, or somebody's phone goes off, or so sometimes like that kind of stuff went on. That's always going to go. That goes on. You've got, it goes on to this day. Doesn't matter where you are. It's always going to go on. The sound issues, or there's a lighting issue, or there's something. But as far as I just turned up with Tajiri, he might have a different story. He might have planned every little movement that he did and thought about it. I've never asked him. I'd rather not know, because then it'd ruin the magic for me. I like to think of it as we just turned up. Everybody else had put in all the hard work to set it up, to write it, set it up, direct it, have to be there, give us their precious time to allow us to do this, which is another thing. People giving you their time, and whether it's their job or not, they're still giving you their precious time, and time is precious. They give you their time to help you make this look as good as possible and give you the best stuff for you to work with. And you come in and I just go, thank, bum, 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 thank everybody and leave. And that's how I remember every single thing that we did.